Okay, we're here today with John Worthington live at Artes Mentales. But I'm John Worthington, and with me today is Paul Grenci. Paul, say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
See, Paul has this down. But Paul and I are going to discuss today a little bit about, let's say, some of the more technical aspects of why it is we teach the classes we teach and what it is that people really get out of it and how the classes actually work. We think that would be useful for a lot of people. So Paul's got some questions, and hopefully I have some answers. We'll have to see. He's a pretty hard questioner, so we'll have to see how it goes.
No pressure. No pressure, right?
Oh, that's good. That's good. I don't need any pressure, Paul. I have enough as it is.
All right. Well, why don't we keep it slow and steady right now? How are we using the Dyad class as a primer for the introduction class right now? Because the introduction class is how I got started.
Okay. The Dyad class is really just it's kind of like a smorgasbord. You know, you want to go to a smorgasbord if you want to find out what Swedish food is about, or what you want to find out what Mexican food is about, or whatever that kind of food that they're serving tonight is. So you can get a little bit of everything. Okay, so you can get a little piece of that, and a little piece of this, and a little piece of the other thing. And the Dyad class is a lot like that. It's like, okay, here's some things that every couple can understand. And here's how this works. Here's how the brain works, and so forth. And then beyond that, it's like, okay, how does the brain working this way actually interact with what I'm thinking, what I'm doing, how I'm getting along with my significant other. So we use that as to say, okay, if you're serious about how this programming thing works, then okay, the introduction class would be the next step for you, or program theory if you really want to find out what's going on.
Okay, because I see people that claim to want the results of a class like this, right?
Right.
But then when you get into it, they don't want the results. They don't want to do the work required to get these results.
Yeah, there's that, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Here's the thing. It's like this takes place. This class doesn't take place in normal learning mode. I guess would be the way to say this. Okay. It just doesn't allow. It just does not allow for a normal learning set, because it's more experiential than it is rote.
That's a big part of the issue, I think, because most people are under the impression that they can read a book, right, or watch a movie or look at a website, right, and walk away with this functional set of knowledge.
Right.
But it's more like just some data for them at that point.
Yeah. Well, it's all it can be, and it's not even provable data to them because they have no idea where to anchor it.
Right.
It's kind of like this, Paul. You know, when people are buying stuff for the kitchen, they say, okay, those stainless steel pots look really nice, and then they try to fry eggs in that little stainless steel frying pan, but they don't know how to set the temperature correctly, and the eggs just stick to the whole damn pan, and you can't get them off of it. You know, you can get one of those Brillo pads and put some elbow grease on it. It's still going to be a while getting that pan clean again. However, if you take a drop of water and you drop that on that pan until the water dances, that little drop of water dances around on the pan, the temperature is exactly right. You can fry eggs on that; it won't stick. You can fry potatoes on it; they won't stick. You can fry anything on it; it won't stick. But if you have it too hot, or that drop of water just steams away, or it's too low where it boils away, it'll stick. Now it'll not only stick, it will stick forever and a day. Well, that's kind of the same thing that we're trying to do in a Dyad class. We're saying, okay, that stainless steel cookware that you got there, the house isn't being used properly on account of you don't know how to set the temperature right. And if you said it right,
but now, wait, whoa, John, you can't tell people they don't know how to do something that they think they know how to do. That's not going to go very well, is it?
Well, I can tell them, but it's kind of like that horse that we used to have back on the farm. You know, you could take him down to the creek to get him to drink of water. He didn't want it. You couldn't make him drink it. I mean, he just didn't want it. I'm trying to tell you, he wasn't going to drink. And folks are a lot like that. But the reason is that they think that they can learn by rote something they have to do by experience. Because I can tell you how to fix that frying pan so that it doesn't stick. But until you do it, you can't really understand me. You actually have to adjust that heat until you see that drop of water dance on the surface of the frying pan. Then you'll know what I'm talking about. But until that does, you'll say, no, what the hell is that? You know, it doesn't make sense until you do it.
Yeah, when you get that perfect egg, right?
Yes,
go,
yeah. See that? See what I know?
Well, so now one of the funny things about this that ties into our base topic today is that person can now teach someone else how to cook on a stainless steel pan.
Yeah, well, they can't teach them how to cook, but they can teach them how to set the temperature so that they can cook. And that's pretty important. And that's kind of what we're doing in a Dyad class, really, Paul. As we're saying, look, set this temperature here. Set it on this temperature right here, not on the one that you've got now. Work better for yourself. You know, that's going to be lots easier. Cleaning up is going to be tons easier. And so what we do with that is we give them some not do's up front. You know, don't blame anybody. Just if you did it, you did it. You don't blame anybody for doing it. Don't say I didn't do it. Okay, if you did it, you did it. Own it. It's yours. If you're responsible for something, get it done. Don't say that you didn't have time. Get it the hell done. You know, if you got obligations, fulfill them. If you're gonna use goods and bads and rights and wrongs, qualify them at least. There's more nearly good, there's more nearly bad. You know, because there are no such things as real honest to God dichotomies. They just don't exist. It's a really difficult thing for us to be able to see. But it's true, and so we need to not do dichotomies, as it were.
These are all guardrails, I like to call them, right? Like,
that's right.
They keep your mind where it needs to be. It wants to go over here, and you bring it back. You say, no. We're not gonna blame that you didn't have enough time, right? We're not gonna say it was somebody else's responsibility, right?
Right. What they are is kind of like those. You know, I have an old man's car. I have a Buick. Okay. And it does things just for old men. Okay. One of the things it does is it talks to me. When I get to not paying attention and I drift over the line too far or to the right or to the left, it says beep 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 beep. Get the fuck back where you belong, John. And I say, oh yeah, and I get back in the middle of between the lines of paint there. Well, that's kind of what these things are too. They're little beepers like that. We can ignore them if we want to and just go ahead and pass that guy in front of us, but we need to know that that's what's going on. Yeah. It'd be handier if we turned on the turn signal, then it won't beep. but nonetheless, that's what happens. Okay, is that that's what those are. That those rules are to say are they beep really loud and they tell you, stay in your lane there. You know, don't get out of your lane. Just stay right there. You're doing fine in that lane. If you get out though, you're in trouble. And so people argue with that sometimes, but you know, they get in trouble. Not because they're bad, it's because they're arguing with the wrong thing is all.
Well, the funny thing is, you know, we're using regular vocabulary words, right? When we say don't blame, right? Or be responsible, right? Or don't live in a fantasy land, like, you know, pay attention to reality type things. And people inherently think that they understand what these words mean when you're applying this to yourself. But I mean, from my own experience, I had to bounce up against it in all sorts of places that I didn't know I was going to.
Yeah, that happens, I think, with everybody to a certain extent, Paul, just for the record, because, you know, this is the difference in learning by rote and learning by experience. Oftentimes people come to my classes and they think that I'm really talking to them about things that they're going to learn by rote. And it's like, I'm not. I'm actually doing the thing that I'm talking to them about so that they can see how it works. Not to tell them how to do it, but to show them how the thing works.
Note taking not required, right?
No, standing up and doing it is required. So you can say, okay, like this, yeah. It's kind of like watching Luke learn to walk, right? I mean, he's got to stand up and get his balance, and it's like I can tell him about it, but he can't understand me. But the only way he's going to do it is to stand up and walk. That's it. And so the thing I can do is I can hold his hand until he can learn how to take the steps and learn how to move his body and so forth, so that it makes it easier. But I can't make him walk.
He's been watching everybody walk, right, for like 2 years, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And he's been frustrated as the dickens that he can't do it,
So the moment he could even come close, he's up there trying.
He's not trying; he's doing it. He's out there kicking the ball like he's a World Cup soccer player. Barcelona better be careful here, or Real Madrid, because here you come. I mean, that's how in his mind, and the way he's doing the same thing as the big kids are doing, right?
Right.
He's got the same swagger that they do and everything else. Of course, the big kids think that's hilarious, and it is. But nonetheless, he's trying his best to do it at his level of expertise. That's all I really require of somebody, is that they do it the best that they can at their level of expertise. Mm-hmm. Not everybody's going to be able to do this do these things at an Olympic level.
Well, what's actually really interesting is, Luke is learning in a way that's, pretty much pre-language, right? And,
yes.
And a lot of people, when they come to these classes, they're going to argue and they're going to say, well, I don't know how to do what you're talking about, right? But,
Yeah. But the thing is that while they're busy arguing about it, they're doing exactly what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. And they've never realized they've been doing it that way.
No. As a matter of fact, it's an affront to them, and usually an offensive affront at that. To insist with them, that's what you're doing now. Actually, this thing that you're telling me you're not doing. See, if I look at it from over here, that's what you're actually doing, right? Because the subject matter is this, and you're responding to that subject matter in this fashion. So isn't that doing what you're saying I shouldn't do?
Yep.
Okay. Is that the thing?
Well, I don't even think they realize that that's actually what they're paying you for.
No, they don't. What happens is okay. Remember that excitation causes interlock. So the thing is that people have, Paul. Come on. Who in the hell is going to notice that I'm on purpose interlocking them with something that they need to think about after the class?
Not many folks.
I don't know of anybody who's ever caught me at that. Maybe, but not really caught me at that. I mean, right. You catch me at a lot of stuff, but not at that one.
Right.
Because that what actually happens for me, what actually goes on in those instances is that what I'm doing is I'm deliberately interlocking that person with a thought, with something for them to think about, it at a later time, so that they go and say, that one, Worthington, you're dead.
I call them thought time bombs.
Yeah, they're that.
Because could be a while, could be years, and a certain event comes up, and all of a sudden, right, you understand a conversation you didn't know you remembered.
Mm-hmm. That I know that you've had that experience
a few times. Yes.
Can you explain that to people? Because see that I think I don't think that people know. I don't think they expect to see that one coming. Actually,
trying to think of a good simple example. I think there was this one exercise that we did, which was a petty tyrant conversation. Okay. And, the words, again, petty tyrant, seem pretty recognizable, right? You know, a person that's kind of wrecking your world a little bit with really petty stuff.
Yep.
And I thought I understood what that was.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out that I ran into a very interesting experience with one of my business partners. And you and I started talking about this idea, petty tyrant, because I started to act on it. Okay. I started to work with this person in a different way. I started to shift my assemblage point so that I could meet them in a place that I'd never met them before. And as I was doing it, I realized that, I had to be comfortable allowing this person to view me as a clown, as somebody who had made some really stupid mistakes. And typically, I'm a business owner. I've got an ego like anybody else. And I was kind of like, am I in the right place here, John? And you were like,
yeah,
you're knocking on the right door, even though you didn't know any of this was going to be coming your way. And it popped for me because I tried to do it. Yeah. That's where the understanding blossomed in my mind.
Yeah, because see, that's the thing is that you have to have that experience
of actually trying to do something.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Like for instance, you actually have to have the experience of having an actual petty tyrant. And you say, oh, so this is a petty tyrant. It wasn't that guy out in the corner that I thought it was. It was this guy right here sitting at the desk next to me. Oh, that guy. So
correct. Yes. And so the depth of my understanding of even the entire purpose of that particular exercise, just started to unfold before me. Right. I mean, truth be told, I probably did that about, 12, 16 months ago. And the benefits and the effects of that event are still unfolding.
Oh yeah. It's going to unfold for a while. Because there's lots of benefits in it, but it's not something that it's not something you're going to wiggle your nose and get. You're going to have to actually go sit down and say, okay, so you're being a petty tyrant. Well, how do I talk to you? How do I get words into you?
Right. It was about myself, right? It wasn't about the petty tyrant, which might have been my misunderstanding early on before I tried to do it.
Right. Well, that I think that happens, Paul, with everybody. They say, okay. Well, there's a couple of ways that they go at it. One of them is okay. I can see that might apply to somebody, but not to me. That's an error. Okay, or yes, I understand. or yes, I understand that, and I have it wired. That one costs. The reason I can tell you these things is because I've been there and done that my own self.
Right.
They're expensive mistakes, but they're mistakes that we all have to make. So yeah, but it has to do with this idea of data as opposed to experience. And so in a Dyad class, one of the things that we do is that we actually pull up and have people actually write an MBO, for instance, which is a program for a couple, and it's like they actually have to sit down and figure out what it is that they're going to do themselves. And the thing is that they always say, "Oh yeah, this is what a cool exercise." Wow, this is really cool, John.
Just wait.
And then a couple weeks later, they say, "Hey, that MBO thing. We were doing that, but we ran into trouble into this part. Did you think about that one?" Well, it turns out that you have to know something about plumbing in order to order a plumber to come do stuff. If you just tell them what to do something, they'll do it, whether it's the right thing or not. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, that's the thing about writing a program. You have to think about what it is you're doing with it, see? And it doesn't make any difference whether you're remodeling a house and you're using that program or whether you're rewriting a program from your childhood. Being careful with it and understanding what it's about and how it works might really be more important once you understand the power of programming than you've ever thought about it before.
Well, I mean, I think that's why rewrites are so important for folks, right? I mean,
absolutely.
You have to recognize that you're going to go through all those thought places to get to that end result.
Right. And it's like, in our present society, we think everything is available in the drive-through, or at least you can call Amazon and get overnight delivery. Okay. And that's not necessarily true. Okay. There are ideas that really require more time than what we can get in a drive-through, like rewriting a program. The first few times that you rewrite it and you go through all of the steps, you realize that the struggle is not to rewrite the program. The struggle is for you to let go of the programs that you've already written, or to change them even. To say, oh, I'm going to do this thing differently because it would be to my advantage, rather than saying, oh, I can't redo this thing because it'd be too much work. Oh,
too much work.
I can't do that. I'm just a little person. Mommy might not like me anymore. I can't tell anybody anything bad. I have to tell them only good things so that they love me.
Yep.
Well, lots of luck with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've watched so many people, not accept the fact that there are ideas out here that require work and effort to understand.
Yeah. Well, that's true in business, is it not?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, there's lots and lots and lots of car salesmen in the world, right? Some of them can sell used cars, and some of them can only sell new cars. Okay, not because they don't have the skill set; it's that they have a skill set they've honed it so that they can do that. It's rather like Michael Jordan when he talked about going to play baseball. He said, I don't have a baseball body. I have a basketball body. I have a basketball set of muscles that I've trained all my life for. And so now for me to go to play baseball means I got to develop baseball muscles. And that's a whole lifetime of work.
Right.
Well, that same kind of thing happens for us when we say, okay, we're going to change something that we've always held near and dear, like guys who are in charge of girls, for instance, okay, or girls who don't have to listen to anybody unless they want to. I mean, there's all these kinds of things that we do that we think are really cool, and they are cool. They're not. I'm not saying they're not, but the thing is there are consequences that are unforeseen. And so what happens is we run into those unforeseen consequences, and we get all bummed about it, and we say, "Well, it has to be some other reason. It can't be the consequences of what I'm doing."
Right. It's clearly it's this boss. Me. Right. This boss is the problem. I'll go get another job.
Yeah.
I'll fix this problem. Right.
Yeah, I'll get another job. Even though I just can't stand any more of him. It's his fault. He keeps asking me to do things, and I'm not going to do those things that he asked me to do, like come to work on time.
You laugh and you make jokes, and I've had to fire people for exactly that. I'm like, you can't show up on time. How about I don't pay you on time? What do we say? What do we agree on that?
Yeah. But and the thing is, Paul, is that I laugh about it because it's a joke. Yeah. People do that. They really do. And they're not being bad. But they're fighting in themselves about something, and they don't see that. Mm-hmm. In other words, look, if somebody can't come to a job on time, and they know that that's part of the job, they're fighting within themselves about what to do with that job, right? Whether they want to even come at all.
Right.
And so,
should I be here?
Yeah. So okay. If there's a question, then no, you shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. If you have a question about it, don't be here. Be somewhere else. It's okay. I'm not mad at you about it. Here, you've helped me out a lot. I'm glad that you came. This was no doubt a stepping stone for you. Time for you to take another step. Okay, good. I got it. But you're not happy here, so move along. We'll see you.
But that seems to be a real sticking point for people, John. The whole internal external reality concept. Really, people get stuck on that one. They insist that what's going on in their mind is what everyone else on the planet needs to accept as external reality. Right?
Yeah, they do. The thing is that you can't see what you're looking with, right?
Right.
I can't see what color my eyes are. I look with them all the time, but I don't know that my eyes are gray or blue or whatever they are in this light.
No, not while we're actively using them, right?
No, that's right. We can't. They're in use. I can't use. Right. And so when we're looking at the world with programs, it's the same thing. We can't see the programs that we're using to see the world, or even to talk to the world, or even to react in the world. We can't see those because they're in use. Okay, that's fair. But when somebody else tells us about it, says, okay, this is a thing that you're doing, and we say, no, I'm not. Well, we're kind of cutting off our nose to spite our face, and it's like the face should actually have a nose. So cutting it off to get even with your face doesn't make any sense.
But John, people fight with, that's a person saying, hey, you're doing this thing, right? But reality provides feedback, right? By itself, God. Without a person, right? About what's going on.
Reality's a bitch about that. I mean, when reality's giving you feedback, it's empirical. Okay?
Right.
It's like you will address this, I think.
My bank account is empty. I'd like to argue with my bank account and reality about my bank account being empty. It should not be empty. Somebody's wrong.
People argue about that. I've heard people argue about things like losing elections.
Say it's not true.
Okay, it's not true, but I've heard that it's a nasty rumor that goes around. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of viral around the internet, right?
Yeah, well, apparently so. Yeah. But the internet's a strange place. You know that. Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of lies that get propagated on the internet, and people who believe them probably should ought to believe those things. They don't need to have an anchor anywhere in reality, as I can tell. So it's okay.
Well, I mean, now since we're talking about it, right? Beliefs, right? Beliefs in real. I mean, how that literally crafts our reality.
Yeah. One of the hardest things to do is to suspend disbelief, because the problem isn't so much in what we believe; it's what we claim to not believe.
Oh, I had a fantastic debate with a group of people that not believing in something was actually a belief.
Yes.
And believe me, it took a while. We went back and forth. I let everyone, present their arguments, and I'm like, and so how is that not a belief in itself?
Yeah.
And they had to stop. They had to slow down.
Well, they will, because the thing is that not believing is in fact a belief.
Right.
Okay, and it's a limiting belief, and so the thing is that what we want to do is we want to overcome the limiting belief so that it's no longer a limit. We want to be free to as opposed to free from, because that's something that I think people get stuck in. Mm-hmm. Like with this, I'm free to wear the mask. I'm free. I don't have to wear the mask. Well, okay, I'm free to wear the mask, and I think you are too.
And maybe you should.
Yeah, and if it's beneficial for you, then why wouldn't you do it? Why? Because your freedom's taken away? No, your freedom can't be taken away, because you're free to do it any way you want to. Okay, that's the reality there.
There was something else that you just said that caught my attention. I lost it. All right, sorry. I was going to run down some avenue that is not available to me right now. It'll come back. So we were talking about beliefs limiting.
About non-belief. I don't believe that is the problem of the disbelief.
Okay. So let's move sideways on this one then.
Okay. All right.
The playing field. We've talked about that a little bit here and there, haven't we?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've got a 3-dimensional image of that. Is that something that we'd be comfortable taking a look at to talk about, or is that not something we can do today?
Probably more than what we can do today.
Okay.
We should do that, but not. Let's not do it today. Okay.
All right. So then maybe scrape the surface on the topic without.
Yeah,
going
we
into
could do that.
Okay.
Yeah, we could do that. Sure.
Okay. So start at the beginning. Being one with yourself is a fundamental concept for any progress in anything that we've ever talked about.
Right.
Why?
Yeah. Okay. Look, being one with yourself is not necessarily something that we do physically, because the reality is that what we do is that we are being at one requires that we also acknowledge the spiritual part of our entity. because we have to come to a place where we can say that we are a physical and a spiritual entity at one and the same time. They're not two different entities. They're the same entity, but they are two different aspects of that same entity. And that one's really a hard one for people to wrap their minds around, I think, because we don't have a way of describing that. It's hard to visualize it, okay? It's hard to visualize how we could be this spiritual and physical entity at the same time, because most of us have a bias in terms of our visualization of the soul being something that's separate from the body. And it isn't. It's part of the body, but it's the energetic part of the body. What you could think about it from a number of different aspects, but let's think about it from this perspective for a second. One of the things that they're beginning to understand in terms of the positioning of subatomic particles is that they do not necessarily exist in 3 dimensions. That they actually may exist in multi-dimensions, okay? They may exist in 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 8 and 11 and 13 and 12, lots of dimensions they may exist. And so when we see them as in a position in their orbit through those different dimensions. Okay, so for instance, even the things that we're looking at right this moment, like I'm looking at this table here, it's frozen here simply because the electrons and photons and so forth that are orbiting through other dimensions are frozen here in this dimension in this table. At a point in time, this table will disintegrate because it will rot away, let's say, and those atoms and those subatomic particles will again be able to orbit into other dimensions. But at the moment, they're frozen in this one. That's relatively the same explanation that we would have about the energy found in the, let's say, the spiritual side of humanity, is that it's not necessarily connected just to this 3-dimensional world that we live in.
In fact, it's probably anchored elsewhere.
Well, it may orbit through other places. It may be anchored here, but it may orbit through other dimensions, most assuredly. And if that's the case, and we can only address, I don't believe in that shit. I can only address the physical reality. We're cutting off a good deal of our quote unquote human experience if that were the case. I don't know that it is, but I don't know that it isn't. So for me personally, I have to leave that door open. I have to say, well, maybe I'm not seeing it all. And so if I'm not seeing it all, before I decide that I know what the spirit is, maybe it'd be best if I observe the spirit as to what it can do. And that starts with me saying, okay, I am a physical and spiritual entity of one and the same time. The second step there is to say, okay, I'm going to find harmony, which is also a function of the spirit, but that can only be done with somebody else. That if you're saying, okay, I'm at one with myself, both physically and spiritually, and so I can be in harmony with this other person who may or may not be at one with themselves spiritually and physically, but I know that that's what they're trying to accomplish. So yes, I can be supportive of them getting to that place. Know that I can communicate with them in such a way to make it easier for them to get to that place as well.
That's really the major thrust of all of the classes, really, is to help people with that.
Yes, it is. It's not the way, the truth, and the light. That's a fact. Okay, it's simply, look. This is a way. This is a way for you to do it. It's right. Not. It's not the way. It's just a way. Look. Think about it. Think about the thing. Because no matter what I'm going to tell you, it's not the thing that I'm saying to you. It's something other than what I'm saying to you. Because I can't say these things that are not physical. I simply can't say those things.
Right. We can just describe it enough to get you in the right place.
I can point to them on a really good day.
Right. And by the way,
yes,
I remembered where I was going to go with the other topic, which was, and it's related, suspension of disbelief, or more specifically, right, the lowest possible level. Perhaps this is not false.
Yes.
Just give yourself this little tiny mental space to wiggle around, even though you're like, I don't believe in that crap. What if it's not false?
Yeah.
Talk about that.
You got to open those doors. Okay. Boy, I've learned a lot of things opening those kinds of doors, saying, well, okay, let me take that position that maybe it's not false. If I open that door, then what's behind door number 1 there? How about door number 2? How about door number 3? Oh, damn!
I've done the thing is, the same thing.
The thing is in life you get to open them up. On TV, you only get one choice, but
right.
but in life you get to open them all up. You can just take your time, do it. There's no reason to decide right away.
Right. That's where I think I'm going with that whole thing. So for myself, when I finally said, well, what if this is not false, right? What if I look for this thing that I said was completely false? No way. What if I just start looking for it?
Yep.
Now that I understand what it is that we're talking about, right? I start looking for it and then, well, damn it. All of a sudden I can start to see these things that indicate that thing I said was 100% false, not only might not be false, that damn thing might be true. Now what?
Oh, now what? Yeah.
Now what do I change?
Uh-oh. Back to the drawing board, huh?
But right, I mean, that's what happened. That's what happened to Einstein when he discovered quantum theory, right? His entire reality went, and he was left going, okay, now what?
Yes, that did happen to him that way. And I think it happens to all of us to a certain extent, because we're all fairly arrogant about what we know. We're not as humble as we could be.
Yeah.
And I think Castaneda warned us about that. He said that clarity was one of the enemies of knowledge. Okay, is you just be too clear to understand something. I clearly understand this completely. Well, maybe you don't.
Is it useful to think that way? No, maybe not.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah. So anyway, well, we've gone on now for what, a half an hour or so?
Already?
Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun, Paul.
Well, absolutely. We need to do this again very soon.
I guess we do. Yes. These will be fun, I think, right?
I mean, I could do this all day.
Well, this is fun for me. I got to tell you, because it's fun. It's fun to talk to somebody who can actually ask me questions about these things.
Right on. It's good to get some answers.
Yeah. Well, all right. Okay, folks. We'll see y'all later. And Paul, we'll talk as soon as you get a chance. Let's do it again.
Thank you for having me.
You're quite welcome. We'll see you later. Thanks for being here. Bye.